Thank you for watching the most profitable show in crypto history. Stop everything that you're doing. Now it's crypto time. Welcome to the Crypto Villas Show.
Hello guys, welcome to Crypto Villa channel. I'm Crypto Villa speaking direct from Brazil in order to make you guys know the news in crypto. Well, first of all, I'd like to ask you guys to subscribe to my channel. If you didn't yet, subscribe to my channel. And also, if you are a Portuguese speaker, you can join my Portuguese YouTube channel, okay? And also follow me on Instagram as well, and also on Twitter. Today, as you guys know, it's a very special day. I'm gonna to interview the founders from Represent Dao, okay? So let's go, Lance and Dan, to the show. A moment. Let's go down. Hi, guys.
Yo,
Thank you so much for coming.
Hello.
Good.
Nice intro. That was one of the coolest we've seen. Yeah, that might be the coolest we've seen.
So thank. First of all, I'd like to ask you guys, what Represent is about. Can you guys do just a small introduction, please?
Yeah, for sure. So with Represent, we've created a governance protocol that essentially has three primary functions, and you can break it down into geographical applications, organizational applications, and then crypto DAO-based applications. So for geographical locations, I believe you said you're currently located in Brazil. Let's say you wanted to ask the Brazilian citizens a question. You could go and whatever it was. Let's say this was 10 years ago or something. You guys were wanting to determine if you were going to hold the Olympics in Brazil. You could personally ask the question, do you think Brazil should host the Olympics? And the question would go out to all of the citizens of Brazil, and only the people within the geographical location of Brazil would be able to participate on that vote, question, election, or whatever you want to call it. And if you wanted to limit the geographical size of that question, you could. So if you wanted to pick a specific city in Brazil, let's say Rio, you would be able to limit the geographical area down to the city, and only the people inside that city would be able to vote on the question. For organizational purposes, you're able to, basically any company, corporation, organization, entity, union, etc., is able to take a list of registered users, upload it onto the platform, and then only the list of whitelisted users can participate in that aspect, that question. And then for crypto DAO-based voting, the easiest way to describe it is to compare it to the Ferrum network. So you may be familiar, Ferrum essentially offers staking services to the entire crypto space, and will create a specific landing page for every unique project. We're able to do basically the same thing, but for a DAO. So let's say, let's use Chainlink as an example. If Chainlink wanted a DAO, they could come to us, we would make them a landing page, it'd be like chainlinkdao.com, and then we would create a front-end landing page in their design, and they would simply connect to our smart contracts and backend, and they'd have a fully functioning DAO instantly. So we can do that with any project in the space.
Okay, thank you. And what does Represent Governance seek to solve exactly?
What does Represent Governance
seek to solve?
Seek to solve?
Yeah.
That's a very important question. I mean, the reason that we built this is so that individuals all over the world could basically invert power structures that are currently something that have been put in the infrastructure for quite some time, that tells them what they must do, even though it may not be exactly what they feel is best for their geography. The people don't have a voice outside of any election in any free democratic society, and that may be once every 2 years and once every 4 years. And then it's pretty much a free-for-all for agendas that are basically sweeping the earth to be placed upon them that provides austerity or oppression in their lives. The technology today allows the citizens to do what they were intended to do when it comes to protecting themselves in their geography, by, they're the creators of government. You know, in Brazil, you people, when you have an election, it's you that vote for your neighbors and put them in office. It's you that pay for them. And it's you that they need to listen to, not just once every 4 years, but on any given day and on any given issue that you as a people feel you know, is going to harm your geography, harm your families, harm your posterity. Represent Dao solves that problem instantly because of blockchain innovations and cryptographic tools. We can generate proposals by the people, for the people, and have the people speak directly to them instantly. And to give you an example of that, with VELOS chain having one of the fastest transactions per second in the blockchain space of 75,000 transactions per second, if there were 3 million people, let's say, on Represent Dao's app in Brazil, they could speak as one and get a completely anonymous, transparent, secure, and immutable result as one whole voice, the voice of the majority, to protect their area in under 3 minutes. And that will change all levels and all abilities of any elected government to proceed with any agenda that the people say is not best for them. So it's a protection.
Sure. Just a message for my audience here. Well, if you are an English speaker, you guys can drop your question anytime here, okay? I'm going to ask Lance, and then by the end of the stream. And just a message em português, a moment, guys. E vocês podem deixar pergunta a qualquer momento aqui, tá, pessoal? Mesmo em português, aí eu traduzo para eles e falo no final da stream, tá bom? Obrigado. Keeping going here, let's go to the next question, because we have many Brazilian followers, you know, so that's why I have to speak a little Portuguese. And by the end of the stream, I'm going to translate some comments and some questions here for you guys.
Awesome.
Well, Represent is developer a turnkey decentralized sovereignty hub, right? What are the functions and advantage of this for the community?
He's asking about the sovereignty seed.
Yeah, sure. We started Crypto Villa with governance. And the reason we did that, I'm a high school teacher for 30 years. I've been teaching, you know, people how to use technology for all that time and many other things. But what we did with governance to start with is to make sure that every person that doesn't understand how to use cryptographic tools, is not familiar with blockchain technology or MetaMask wallets or any of those type of terms or functions, has an opportunity to have a desire to use it. And with governance, although it's not, you know, the fad of the day, it's not games, it's not NFTs, it's actually real life and it's actually protection. And that will drive people, we believe, to have a desire to pick up cryptographic knowledge, at least to be able to say, hey, listen, I want to protect myself from any type of foreign or domestic threat. And in doing so, we hope to have a mass adoption of people that aren't familiar with this technology to want to become familiar with it. And as such, we have a bunch of educational specialists that will be designing opportunities, curriculum type scenarios, videos to show everybody how to use the simple governance app. Now what that does, that's just one. That's just one of our D apps that we're developing. Our idea to create a sovereignty seed development is basically to include a buffet of turnkey type services that parallel current centralized infrastructure. So for example, you already have government, you already have public service, you already have insurances, law, currencies, all of those that you have a structure and a function that's been organized that works. So there's no need for decentralized services to tear down the structure, but there is a tremendous need for decentralization of services to improve the efficiency of those structures and increase the power back to the people to decide for themselves whereby those structures benefit them in their geographical area as a priority. as Lance has already demonstrated with his example on what we do, we are geo-aware, which means that all citizens of the earth where they are will be recognized in their geography to use these services. So ultimately, if we look forward to our sovereignty seed development protocols all being developed with Represent Dao, you will be able to use decentralized applications to increase your sovereignty in your area, in areas of governance, business, finance, currency law, insurances, stable coins, so that you can be separate from a worldly system that seeks to centralize all services and dictates to you in your area from another area how you will achieve, if you will achieve, what your opportunities will be, what decisions you'll make surrounding any topic of the day, and push those centralized services. Because in history, we've seen time and time again that increased centralization of any services or authority to government or any industry leads to the fall and the oppression and the austerity of the normal citizen and family in the area. And whether you're in Brazil or whether you're where we are in Western Canada, Calgary, Alberta, we have all been taught over time and over generations that government is a separate entity from ourselves. And that's completely false. And nothing could be further from the truth in that regard, because we as the people are the government. We create it, we pay for it. It's we that create the wealth, not the government. It's we that create the laws, not the government. It's we that create the families, the economic engine, the prosperity, the strength of community, the velocity of the economy, not the government. The government is just your elected neighbor that you send to protect life, liberty, and property and keep the geography better. It's not there. They don't have the power and authority to create any decisions out of thin air without your ability. But they have had up until 2021, because this is the first time this technology has ever been available for humanity. And therefore, it's the first time that humanity has been able to actually stand up and say, yeah, that's not going to happen. So our sovereignty seed development is to increase the ability of any group, any society, any nation, any people to operate under futuristic decentralization for the benefit of themselves, their family, their posterity, and their geography.
Okay. Well, that would be my next question. But I have one more before starting the questions about the team. You talked many good things, but for example, here in Brazil, we have a lot of corruption, right? It's not too easy to convince the government to do something like that. So I'd like to know what will be your strategy for convince some, how can I say, some tough countries to use this.
All right, Crypto Villa. Listen, the technology that's here today and represent governments has nothing to do with permission from anybody who is elected. Yes, there's corruption. And Represent Dao is addressing that corruption by going straight to the people. It sidesteps all system authority in any place, in any organization, anywhere. Because it's generated by you and your neighbor. You and your neighbors want to participate on our app. You and your neighbors are then going to be able to hold proposals in elections. It's not starting out as saying, hey, let's run our country on Represent Dao, or let's make Represent Dao the legislated voice of the day, or let's ask the government if we can say these things. It's forget it. Represent Dao is here. It's a tool of decentralized blockchain innovation that provides immutable truth to the voice of the people that's generated by them for the questions that they have on our platform and voted by them for the questions that they decide to put on our platform. Government will be made aware just the same as any geographical area will. So again, you go back to a city in Brazil, like Lance said, Rio. If the citizens of Rio want to bump up their ability to learn 4 or 5 simple steps in the cryptographic world, they can carry around with them on their cell phones. They can carry around with them the ability to have a majority voice protection as a group. Just like when you have a real election to vote your government in, the people speak. And the government recognizes the voice of the people as the authority of the day and takes a mandate from that election and says, hey, we have all power because the people gave it to us. Well, today and every day after, the people will have a mandate to tell their government exactly what they want done without government's ability to say, hey, you don't have that choice anymore, because it flies exactly in the face of what they're doing there in the first place because you elected them. So this is a people initiative. Okay, it's an activist initiative to increase efficiency of a geographical area and the ability to be self-reliant and self-sufficient under proper principles of governance, because the people are the government. And I don't care how corrupt any area is, all people that have the ability to use the cell phone and our app will be able to create a majority protection voice for them and their neighborhoods and their posterity that will better the area. And they will all know, again, I said, if 3 million people want to hold a vote on a specific topic, in under 3 minutes, they'll have the results. And they'll all know what those results are. Everybody will. All of you will. And the government will as well. Now, if the government wants to stand up and say, no, we understand that 90% of you don't want to do this, but we're going to do it anyway, they're not going to be a government very long, because they are the few and we are the many. And it's the many that will dictate and solve the problems that humanity has constantly witnessed time and time again, with levels of corruption that occur inside of centralization. When I say centralization, we could change that word and say socialism, or change that word and say Marxism, or change that word and say communism, because that's what centralization is. And there are two technologies on the earth today that are new that absolutely have to be paid attention to, because there's artificial intelligence, which has tremendous power to lock in centralization and control people, if the people want to be controlled. But decentralization, like we've applied with the blockchain, that has the power to free society and humanity and put them on an entirely different level of intelligence and prosperity. So it doesn't matter what government you have, if you have the ability to speak, move, have a cell phone, and breathe, you can gather as a people to completely allow an awareness of proper principles by the people, for the people, against any corrupt body of one or two individuals.
And it's safer. What Represent does, so let's say corrupt government in Brazil, right? Or anywhere. So let's say you have a corrupt government and it's making a decision that the people don't want. Currently, it's impossible for you as an individual citizen to know what the rest of your country actually wants, right? If the government's making a corrupt decision and you don't know what percentage of the people disagree with that decision, using our application, you could know that. So you'd be able to find out, hey, 20% of the people, 20% of the population don't agree with this. Or, hey, 95% of the citizens of Brazil do not agree with the decision being made by the government. And that should, in theory, empower the citizens to act out against any form of corruption, because they know beyond a doubt that 95% of the population agree with them and want to stand up against this corruption.
Sure. So it's like Robson says here, right? It could work also as an audit tool, right?
Right, as a way to basically hold the government accountable to the decisions to the people. So yeah, as an audit tool, or basically it serves as checks and balances and keeps the government accountable to the people, because they can no longer make decisions without feedback from the people every step along the way.
And if they do, the people will make sure that they're not elected again. So the reality is the people and their elected neighbors have to find a balance. They have to live in harmony. The people will not allow foreign or domestic harm to come upon them for whatever type or level of corruption that some people buy into, and people do buy into it. Because unfortunately, if you got elected in your area, Crypto Villa, you would say, hey, my neighbors, I've been elected, support me, and I'm going to help change. But then as soon as you were elected, the party that you were elected to is going to say, no, be quiet, you don't get to speak. And if you do get to speak, we'll tell you what to say, and then we'll tell you how to vote. And then and the party is an unelected group of people that have organized that party. Now, they then get their orders from somewhere else, and it's not the people. And then all of a sudden, you're an elected official who's really just getting paid to just sit there and do as you're told, and you're not listening to anybody. And the people don't have any recourse, but they do now. And it'll never change, and it's going to change the reality of the ability for freedom within people's areas, because you just won't be able to ignore it.
Sure. Good. We have a good questions here by the end of the stream from the audience. But let's move on here. Well, some questions about the team. I'd like to know more about the team. How many people are working on this? And are there any partnerships already that you can disclose?
Yeah, we have just on our team alone, we probably have over about a dozen. Yeah, probably 15 people. And that's not including our developers. We have our dev team, well, it's huge. We currently have, I think, 12 to 16 developers working on our project at any given time. And we're able to expand that number all the way up to 50?
Easy.
Yeah. So our dev team is absolutely massive. They've worked on tons of projects in the space. They were the original developers of the Phantom network. And then as far as partnerships go, we've currently announced our partnership with Velis. They're a new up and coming blockchain. They are an offshoot of Solana. So, but they also support EVM compatibility. So you can basically port over your Solidity code onto Velis, and you basically have the TPS and the speed of Solana, but you also have the EVM compatibility. So it's easy to just transfer everything over. And then we've also announced a partnership with Viet, which is the first and maybe the only actual government regulated project in the entire crypto space. And it's centered around basically legal contracts. So what we're looking to do with Viet is for the organizational and corporation based, or maybe even potentially for governments, when a decision is made. And so let's say your company, your organization has made a decision. So you're holding a shareholder vote and the members of your council or whatever vote in the decision. You can then use Viet's legal service, and it will basically create a contract on the spot, and you can sign an on-chain legal agreement. So it streamlines the entire process and speeds everything up.
Okay. And some questions about token economics. What will be the use case of the token?
Right. So the token is used for several functions. One, to interact with the smart contracts on our platforms. So currently, that's just our governance DApp. In the future, it'll be other DApps as well. So serve as a token basically to the native ecosystem token to interact with all the smart contracts. It'll have the typical, DeFi applications, yield farming, staking, stuff like that. For early users, it functions as somewhat of a reward token for early mobile application uses. People will be rewarded in the token for participating within the ecosystem, stuff like that.
Okay. And what will be the initial market cap and the hard cap, the total raised?
Right. What is our total raise on Apollo X is 500,000 USD. We're giving guaranteed allocation to everyone who stakes, and I believe the staking pool is just closed 1 hour ago, and we have 3,142 people staking on the Apollo X platform. It's almost 7 million paid tokens. It's $5 million plus ours locked up. Every single one of them is getting an allocation on the IDO, 100% chance, guaranteed. And our initial market cap is 270,000. Yeah.
Okay, and the tokens held by you guys, by the team, are they locked up, or and if so, for how long?
Yeah, how long are they locked?
18 months.
Yeah. Or
It's
yeah,
good.
1 year, and then they're vested over like 2 or 3 years.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah, 1 year lock and then vested over the next year. I mean,
Over the next 2 years. Yeah, I mean, we don't even.
I haven't even looked.
Our tokens.
Yeah. We're developing a massive and very ambitious project to help people. I mean, that's our focus. I mean, I honestly, I have to rely on Lance to tell me about the tokenomics, because I don't even look at that kind of stuff. We've got far more important things to worry about in what we're trying to do, because the future there's a great potential for humanity to do something that they've never done before, because the technology provides us all with the opportunity to not reset, but definitely improve all of our abilities and all our capabilities to succeed within our geographies. And, you know, over time, we've kind of allowed others to set the agenda, sometimes outside of our own geographies. And we've allowed others to create systems that are false socioeconomic systems or constructs of men who think that they're in power. And, you know, that's just wrong. And that's not going to happen anymore. So for me, the tokenomics, I don't even know what they are, to tell you the truth. So, and that's why we said, you know, to Apollo X, who are an absolutely fantastic team, by the way. They've got a great team over there. And for all your listeners, you see projects with Apollo X, they're partnered with them. Pay attention. They're vetted well. They've got a great marketing team there that helps bring these projects with foundational growth in Grow Crypto. They've got wonderful partners in Moon Boots Capital to help assist and get the word out across the globe. These are very expansive projects. I mean, you can get used to in the crypto world. I was teaching students in high school about the crypto world in my entrepreneur courses that I taught just before I retired, since about 2016. And every day my students would come in, we'd find out what's happening in the crypto market. Some of them would fire up their computers and they would trade live in the classroom, because we were teaching them how to trade and look at the project. Some of them would even mine the crypto coins. So, because that's the future. And, you know, sometimes you get used to just saying, oh, it's just another project. Oh, it's just another project. Or, oh, it's this or it's that. And you don't pay attention, because there are really good projects being developed in the space, and Apollo X is searching for them and pushing them out there. So, you know, you have to understand that the opportunity to have an open allocation is consistent with who we are, by the people, for the people, to give opportunity to everybody. And it's up to the people to take that. And for us, Lance just said 3,142, I think. 42 people took that opportunity. And that's big. That's a big number for the crypto space, and that shows the strength of Apollo X. So,
totally agree. I think the Apollo X team is very good. They have not just the Apollo X, but the Master Ventures team as a whole, right? The owners of Apollo X, they are very good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Kyle's done a great job to get out there and really promote cryptographic tools. You know, these are people to watch. They're like yourself. You're out there right now doing these podcasts to teach. You're teaching and you're educating your society on how to become better in the future. And Represent Dao is going to provide everybody with a tool to do just that. So you people are pioneers. And, you know, when I was in the classroom, I would show videos from people like yourself to my students.
Thank you.
And say, listen,
Thank you.
You know, this is what you want to be. This is who you want to listen. This is the knowledge that you need to have. Because the fourth industrial revolution is occurring all across the globe, because technology is allowing humanity to do things that no one else on this earth has ever been allowed to do. And it's all pointing towards a greater freedom and prosperity if the people will stand up and learn. And honestly, what you're doing is a great service to your people by sharing these type of events, however many times you do them, and bringing people on. So good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much. And well, I have a question now about listing. Of course, you guys are going to do some DEX, the centralized exchange listing, right? But how about the SEC, centralized exchange listing? Are you guys thinking about this? And if so, is there some negotiation already going on that you can disclose, of course?
Oh, yeah. We were actually surprised. Prior to actually starting this, we thought it was like really difficult for projects to get on centralized exchanges.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for other projects, but I know in our case, we've been approached by like 10, 12, a dozen. Yeah, we've been approached by tons of different centralized exchanges. We're in talks with I guess 4 or 5 of them. I'm not actually allowed to announce or say who we're talking to or something. There's so much, I would get a huge trouble. There's so much paperwork involved. You gotta keep meeting with the different exchanges, the teams, the listing agents, the marketing agents. There's a huge business development meetings. It's quite the process. But we should, if all goes well, we should be on a few CXs before, well, we're launching on Friday. We launch in 24 hours. Yeah. We should be, hopefully, if all goes well, we should have sex listings in the first 2 weeks of our project, at least. But yeah.
So we'll have those announcements coming right away. I just noticed a question flash across the bottom of the screen where somebody said governments will only use Represent if there's an economic advantages for being more transparent.
Okay. Well, if you actually go back, he goes at 8:24 a.m. Or no, not 8:24 a.m. At 8:18 a.m. He mentions that basically the people who use Represent.
Yeah. That doesn't matter, right? To this.
Yeah.
The government don't need it to use.
So
what he's saying, the governments who do use Represent are more likely to win because they're more transparent and they're giving the people more of a chance.
So but I just want to address that statement because I can't read. We will be reiterating this every day. This will be our lesson 1 every day for the next 5 years. Governments are going to get overrun by the people who created them. The people are the creators of government. And when the people have a tool like Represent to speak, government is the creature that's created. And the creature cannot become bigger than its creator. And unfortunately, there's been a tolerance to allow that to occur. So you're going to have a hard time, anybody, any government, saying, I don't know if we're going to allow Represent, because that right away tells the people instantly that you're controlled, that you're just an object on an assembly line to be managed and told what to do. That's worked in the past. There's always been people who have taken power, kings or queens or tyrants or elected officials who are dishonest and corrupt. But that's not going to happen anymore because the people outnumber the elected hundreds of thousands to 1. And there's just no way their systems are going to be able to withstand. So we're not about any government allowance. This is about the people. And the people have every opportunity and right to anonymously participate in a voice for their area that's absolutely immutable and provable on Etherscan and on Block Explorer as to you can go yourself and find out that your vote that you put down as a yes or no on a given proposal went into the yes or no bucket. It can't be manipulated the way we've done it. It can't be touched. It can't be altered. It's transparent. You won't have any problems understanding what the voice of the people is, nor any problems understanding the truth of the tool that we've created. So governments aren't going to make those decisions. The people are. And that has to be reiterated every day. And you'll hear that from us like a broken record. We sidestep authority that has been falsely delivered or expected that people just will bow and listen to any agenda coming out of the voice of an overpaid political elected neighbor. Because there's a great difference between politics which is very deceitful and corruptible. Government, which is really just a piece of paper that's called a constitution, and that we apply servants for through election to monitor and keep, how the people want it. But really that piece of paper is also defined by the people. And it's not a dead document that was created hundreds of years ago that we have to follow. It's a living document. And Represent Dao will give the voice to the people to change that document in accordance to proper principles that they desire. And governance. Governance is an entirely different scenario than politics. Governance is truth. It's proper principles. It's demand and authority. It's directed by the people. Okay? So there has to be a great education, done for people to remember old and proper principles. And I mean, CryptoVilla, we can look, like I said, as a teacher, I can give you documents from 5,000 years ago that will tell you about governance, from 4,000 years ago, from 150 years ago, that teach the proper principles that we as a society have forgotten, misplaced, and are suffering because. These aren't new principles. They're proper principles. And when enacted by the people, my goodness, your people down there in South America, what a beautiful, beautiful land you have, rich in resource and opportunity. You should be the most prosperous, free people on the earth. And if you're not, it's because you've fallen into, a way of believing the myths of past centuries that indicate that somebody is more important than you in making decisions, even though you pay them and elected them and put them there. And that's incorrect. So we're going to change.
I really agree.
Look at the comments. The comments are great.
Sure. And one more questions. Do you have some KPIs or goals that you can share with us? I don't know, number of users, proposals, or other number.
What do we got, Lance?
What do we got for
some KPIs, our roadmap, our future? Do we have numbers? I'm key performance indicators. How about our Glean campaign? If you want to see where this is going, or in terms of what people are doing right now, what's our Glean campaign?
Dude, our Glean campaign popped off. It's at about like 700,000 users, which is crazy because we literally we spent no money on promoting it or anything like that. We didn't pay any YouTubers. We didn't pay any of the Twitter influencers to shill it or anything like that. We just literally, it's all completely organic. There's 700,000 entries. It's awesome. As for future numbers, KPIs, the more there's really the sky's the limit. We're trying to go after literally every citizen in the world. We're trying to get millions of users because the way Represent works, the more people who use it, the better. So in order to do that, what we need to deliver is we need our web-based applications already done. We've been in development for a while. Our product's already working. We've started development, transitioning that onto the mobile application so that you just be able to use it on your phone, because that's the easiest and the best way to do it, especially in some other countries, developing countries where they have a phone, they don't have a laptop, right? They don't have a desktop, they don't have a computer. And so having the mobile application is hugely essential to achieve user base. So the more people, the better, because Represent, in order for it to function to its fullest potential, it needs the adoption of the people. The more people on the platform, the more the majority voice is supported and put on chain, the better it is for the entire society involved.
And as we increase our user base, it's got to be simple enough for even grandma to use and understand. As we increase our user base, that is going to create a spin-off CryptoVilla, whereby all decentralized services are going to come into the atmosphere of people's knowledge and intellect, and they're going to say, hey, it's much easier for me to use this form of currency or this form of DeFi in my neighborhood, or it's much, you know, they're going to remove centralization that controls them and says, it can only be done this way or that way. And centuries old models that are ridiculously applied today with our level of technology is, to me, when you look at it, it's absolutely hilarious. I'm pretty sure history books are going to say, there was a transition period where some people wanted to stay with the horse and buggy and the king and queen and the, you know, one person controlling all the money. And yet there was this opportunity for everybody to benefit in a way that they've never had before. And some people who are like, I don't know if I want to do that. But as we increase usership, you got to think of us as a game. I would teach all my high school students, these are 15-year-old to 18-year-old human beings. And I would teach them what was coming, and very complex cryptographic services. They would pick it up in just a couple of lessons, start using it, and then it would become normal to them within 2 weeks. It was like a whole different world to them, you know? And so we're kind of like a game where you play for rewards, but the rewards for playing Represent Dao governance are freedom, prosperity, security, and protection. And those are real rewards that will impact your society when you walk out the door every day. They're not just trinkets or high scores. So we're the biggest game out there, actually.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then if Represent is successful, basically right now there's this idea within, I guess, the general populace that everybody accepts, where, yeah, you vote once every 4 years, and then you really don't have any participation in the democratic process for the next, you know, electoral cycle, government cycle, electoral term. With Represent, eventually what's going to happen is kids are going to be coming out of high school or studying in junior high, and they will be surprised to find out that there was a time when their parents didn't participate in the democratic process on a weekly, daily, monthly basis. So we're going to change. The goal is to change the way people interact with government and government interacts with people. And we've created the infrastructure really for the first time in the history of the world whereby that can actually happen.
Now, CryptoVilla, can I just step in and answer a question here that one of your users just put out here? Because we haven't touched on it yet.
Okay, just one moment. I'm going to roll out a small video right now, and it's the time for you guys. Smash your like, okay, and smash your like here and share this nice interview, and then we'll be back and answer all your questions. Okay, so we will be back in 20 seconds.
Like this video, subscribe to CryptoVilla's channel, and click on the bell button in order to turn on your notifications. Also, don't forget to follow him on Twitter. That's the only way to get notified earlier so you can take advantage of this. Information is power. Early information is profit.
So then we can start with the question that you would like to answer, please.
Okay. Well, first off, your ad that you just showed, information is power. That was your ad. And that's exactly what we've done, is provide the power of the voice of the people, because information is power. And it shines a light on the lack of information and the corruption, and it causes it to run like a bunch of rats and hide. But there's a very important question out there on your board that we haven't talked about, and it's somebody saying, with your geographical fence or your geo-aware app, how can you ensure that one person can't vote many, many times?
Right. So the question is
and they
asked,
can't.
The question is asked 8:38 a.m. For our time. It says it's by Robson. He says, and if it is only geographical limited, a foreign person could vote on national interest subject as a presidential election, for example. How to avoid that?
Or how to avoid a person voting twice?
Yeah, and he says they talked about geographical delimitation, but how to avoid the same person to vote several times or even a bot, right? Obviously, right? Because if we're allowing bots to vote, or if we're allowing, if you're doing something in Brazil and I'm voting from Canada, that doesn't help anybody, right? So how do you avoid that? The first way you need to determine to participate in geographical questions, elections, votes. the platform has to determine that you are actually a registered citizen within the geographical location. So you have to submit standard KYC. We've integrated with Google Maps, but then you have to submit like proof, identity documents, proof of address to verify that you're a citizen who actually lives in the geographical location that you live in, to avoid the same person voting multiple times. So let's say you ask the people of Brazil, do you like chocolate ice cream, for example, right? When you ask the question, do you like chocolate ice cream? Our platform, that question will trigger a smart contract, and that will create a unique voting token that's only usable on that question. So the question, do you like chocolate ice cream, will create a unique vote token for that question, and it only will be able to be used on the question, do you like chocolate ice cream? And then each person will be able to go and they'll be able to claim the unique vote token, provided that they meet the requirements to participate in that question. So this one, for example, we've set the geographical limitation to Brazil. So in order to participate on the question, you have to be a verified user who's proven within the system that they live within Brazil. And then they'll be able to claim a unique vote token. Everyone's only able to get one vote token, and they're only able to vote one time. So no bots can participate because only registered verified users can participate. You can't vote more than once. It's literally impossible because you're only able to claim one vote token and you're only able to vote a single time.
Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna to take one more question here. A moment. I'm coming back to the first comments. Let's hear. Okay, this one it was already answered. Well, we don't need the government, right, to use your app, but maybe some government is going to use for some reason, or because they want to become transparent and this and that. So Robson would like to know if you guys already have contacted any government or not, or they came to you. I don't know.
Yeah, we've talked to many elected officials, right? We've had some of them over in our house, sitting right here in the den that we're sitting in, that are leading political parties. The reality is that there's no elected person in the future that's going to be able to say no to allowing the people to be empowered. That's why they're there in the first place. They're elected to serve their community. They're elected to serve their neighbors. In time, people that use this app will be a very efficient group. I noticed one of the questions says, not always do the people know what they want. Well, not always do the people want to be told what they should have. There's a fine balance between the collective rights, which are based upon individual rights first in operating and functioning in a society. But the best model has always ever been found in the majority voice of the people in determining the direction that society should take, because none of us get up every morning to try and harm ourselves or harm our area. None of us do that. We all want the best that we can have while we have our turn on earth. So there's a learning process, and I guarantee you, having worked with probably over 30 to 40,000 students in the course of my career, and having the opportunity to have a large amount of human beings in front of me every day to say, hey, everybody, here's the issue. What do you think the solution is? I can tell you that pretty much 10 times out of 10, with very limited effort, all will come to the agreeance of the majority of what the best way forward is. So there will always be a 30% voice, a minority voice that will fight against pretty much any idea, no matter what it is. But the majority who don't have a voice today aren't getting the chance to have that opportunity heard. And it's being manipulated. And I don't need to tell you that because you feel that every day. So, the best way forward is intelligence. And people today, the youth today, I'm an old guy. I've got gray hair up here. See that? You know, I'm an old guy. The young people today are very intelligent. They're very in tune with society and technology, and they understand that their opportunity isn't quite the same as grandpa's or mom and dad's. It's getting harder for them. It's getting tougher for them. The goalposts are changing. That's all unnecessary. And they'll use technology to reset it. And we really need to put the power back in the hands of the youth this time to get them, because it's their world. They have the most amount to live in it, and they're very intelligent. And I can testify that that's true, because I work with them every day for 3 decades. So what a wonderful future we all have if it's properly directed. You know.
Okay. In regards to elected political officials and their responses to, I guess, represent, it's in a democratic nation where the people elect a representative to serve the community, it is almost impossible for them to say no to represent. Because let's say that, I'll use our district, for example. The elected representative in our district, where we currently live, has 150,000 people in his community. In order to properly represent his community, he first has to know what his community wants. So if he has a question and he wants his community feedback on it, and he has 150,000 people in his community, how is he supposed to know what each and every one of them want? Is he supposed to go door to door? That's impossible. There's not enough time. Is he going to send out thousands of emails, read each one, and track what each person wants? Completely ridiculous, right? Is he going to hold a poll on like Twitter? Anybody can vote on it. He has no idea if it's targeted to his community, right? With Represent, he can set the geographical limitation to his community, and he can instantly receive feedback on anything any question that he wants from his community. And basically, what Represent does is it facilitates the voice of the majority. So for any government or any political official, any elected official to say, no, I'm not going to use Represent, when at the core of what Represent does is it amplifies the voice of the majority, their opposition to it on an inherent level means that they are essentially trying to actively suppress the voice of the people. So if they are against Represent, they are against the voice of the people. And in a democratic society, that's basically suicide for any elected government to say, we don't want to hear what the people say, or we don't care what the people say. Completely, they can't say no to Represent. And if they do say no to Represent, we will publicly go and say, hey, we approached this person, and this elected government official that you people voted for said, no, he doesn't want to hear your voice. So, I mean, if people want to say no, we'll just call them out and see what the people think. Because we'll push the question out on Represent. What do you think about your elected official saying that he doesn't want to hear your voice? And we'll ask their community, because we don't need his permission to do it.
Sure.
And you have to realize that at 75,000 transactions per second, like Lance said, our guy has 150,000 people. That's a 2-second result. In 2 seconds, 150,000 people realistically are going to have an answer. I mean, this is not anything that can be fooled with. People will try. Of course, they will force. People will be afraid of change. People will be afraid to let go of what they think is their power and theirs only. But good luck. That's all we can say. They're going to lose. It's checkmate, really, as long as the geographic people understand what is about to happen and are able to be intelligent enough to want to implement it. So how long is it going to take for your area to get Represent circulating in your communities? That'll be how long it'll take for your people to be free.
Okay. We have one question in Portuguese, but I'm going to translate for you guys. Don't worry. Well, if you represent, it can be used for other things, not just for political things. For example, for company voting, for events, I don't know, or any other kind of voting.
Yes, exactly, 100%.
The use case is enormous.
Any situation where you can think of, governance applications, Represent covers it. Where Represent is, I mean, honestly, it's quite literally the single most comprehensive governance platform in the entire blockchain space. We literally do everything. Any governance application that you can think of, Represent can use it, because we have that feature where any proposal that you make creates a new unique vote token, right? So like, we're not like Uni where you have to hold whatever it is, $7.5 million to submit a proposal or something, right? Like, what the heck is that? Anybody can do it. And every proposal generates a new unique vote token that only works on that proposal. Organizations can use it, companies can, unions, school boards could do it. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could quite literally do your tests, your school exams on the blockchain.
Yeah, for universities. You see, but it's not even that, again, you have to understand the pathways here. So let's talk about a union, for example. Mm-hmm. If the union doesn't want to use it because they don't want to hear from their members, mm-hmm. a person in the union can still make a proposal, and the union members outside of the union president can still vote if they want, mm-hmm. and take that decision authority or that awareness to the union leadership, whether they want to hear it or they don't. And once again, you would have the voice of the majority in the union to determine what the system authority should be. So, and you could do that on a private level too. You could say somebody like Amazon, around the world, they may want to pay their employees X amount of dollars. Their employees might want to say, well, we're doing a heck of a lot of work, and we're not making billions upon billions like the CEO is, but we're the reason he's making that. So they could get together and say on a world level as Amazon employees and say, hey, Amazon employees, what do you guys think? And held a vote. And, the CEO is going to have a hard time if he wants his workers to show up tomorrow of saying that, you're going to continue getting minimum wage while I make, 20 figures a year.
And right? build a rocket
to the moon while you can't even feed your family. So watch out, because there's many use cases that's going to open up a whole different set of negotiation, understanding, and the striving to live together under proper principles that are beneficial to each geography. So the use cases for this are unlimited.
Okay. And Sammy G says one thing here that I think it makes sense, right? It's like Bitcoin. Right, it doesn't matter if the government approve or not. The people are going to use it.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Brilliant.
Yeah, old world models are they're failing, and there's just no place for them. There are new world models and new models for people to increase their ability, and that's what we're doing, and that's what all the projects are doing. And as all projects come together, Crypto Villa, you're going to see just a tremendous change for good, but the people have to be involved for that change to be for good. Because if they're not involved as a majority, I guarantee you the technology will enslave them, because artificial intelligence can track you, monitor you, see what you're up to, how much electricity you're using, what you've done with your money, monitor. Artificial intelligence can create people that are completely enslaved in chains. Decentralized technology, what we've worked with, will create a society of enormous freedom and make sure that those chains never get applied. So there's no choice going forward here. It's not like, I can just sit around and carry on like in 1940. There's no choice. You've got to be on one side or the other, and we want you to be on our side.
Sure.
Austin says,
yes. And so, guys, do you guys have any final thoughts that I'd like to share? Call to the IDO, to listen, to talk to other people, to follow you guys on Twitter?
Well, the first thought that I'd say before Lance gets a chance is that I would just encourage your users, your viewers, to continue watching your show, because you're bringing to them knowledge that's so important. And so you're getting out there and doing a great service. So you know.
Definitely give Crypto Villa a like, subscribe, follow.
And tell
Yes, please.
We'll shout him out on
Yeah.
our socials.
Tell your friends to tune into Crypto Villa, because it's people like Crypto Villa that bring this attention of freedom of cryptographic decentralization to the people and will create the users. Represent Dao. Hey, what can you tell them, Max?
Yeah, I would just follow our Twitter. That's the best place to go. If you have any questions, you can go on Telegram. I basically do a 24/7 AMA in Telegram.
Yeah. For now, that's about it. So Represent Dao is Represent DAO, and you can find us on Twitter. Follow that and help us out, because it's the voice of the people, the citizen, that's going to increase participatory democracy. We have a Medium as well. On our Twitter, you'll find articles. We'll constantly update our Medium to teach the principles that the people need in order to become more sovereign in their area and cut the ties of control that's coming to them from outside of their area and oppressing them.
Thank you. And a comment here. This is for me. And he doesn't charge Pix, because here in Brazil, Pix is like a bank transfer, you know.
Right.
And you have many influencers here who ask to people give their money in order to do some call or some information. And in my channel, I always say here, I will never charge you guys for anything. The information is totally free and will be ever in this way, always free. And that's why they are saying here, oh, Villa doesn't charge Pix.
That's awesome. And you know what? We're going to rely on you to get the people there in your area to know about this and get this started, because
we can get them to translate our stuff into Portuguese.
You can translate our stuff, and your people can have this app as fast as possible.
Sure. I'm sure. Sure. So, guys, I'd like to say thank you so much for coming to my show. It was a really pleasure. And I think it was the longest interview that I have had here in my channel. And the time went, how can I say, passed very fast, you know, because it was very cool.
Yeah, no, it's been lots of fun.
Yeah, thank you very much. We have lots to say. We're just getting started.
So, thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
So, for you guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, okay? And don't forget to smash your like. E, para meus seguidores brasileiros, vai ter live hoje, 1h, tá bom? Daqui a pouquinho, daqui 1 hora eu vou correr para fazer a live e a gente já conversa mais, tá bom? Muito obrigado, pessoal. Muito obrigado e até daqui a pouquinho.